Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of As the World Works. I am your host, and my glass is fogging up. So if I take them off and can't see, I do know who our guest is today. A very close friend of mine and a very tenured guy in the commercial real estate world. And today I really want to talk about, I'm going to take my glasses off. I want to talk about not only Bill Hebert's experience, but and what a kind, truly gentleman this man is, and an important factor in my life. And the premise of this show, obviously, is to share each other's stories, people that I know well, and some people in the future I don't. But at this point, these people have meant a lot and had an impact on my life, and I want to share that with you. So, building relationships. See how I just did that? People talk about relationships and building those. And Bill Hebert has been one of those guys who we knew each other when we worked at Trammell Crow Company, but not well. But there was an impact that fast forward many years, we picked up and developed this really strong relationship, almost like we had seen each other yesterday. He's just that kind of guy, as you will soon see. So without further ado, I would like to introduce my pal, Bill Hebert. Hey, Bill.
Hey, Sam. Thank you for that. That was nice.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Now, you went to, little background on Bill. You went to the U.S. Naval Academy, correct?
Yes, I did. At age 18, I moved away from Lafayette, Louisiana, took my first plane ride to Baltimore, took a shuttle into Annapolis, and saw where I was going to be going to school for the first time, which was very impressive, but I had not seen it prior to the day that I was inducted. So it was a little frightening getting on the plane, but I was so ready to experience more, to challenge myself, see the world. And so I that's what I did. And I was lucky to be selected for an appointment. And the whole 4 years I was there, Sam, I promise you, I thought they had made a mistake, because I was with these people that were so smart, and they were so gifted athletically, and they had fathers that were in the military or whatnot. And I was just, from Louisiana, from Lafayette, Louisiana. And I did not miss a day where I was thankful for being there.
And I know what that feels like. When I was in college, I felt the same way. Someone's going to catch me. Someone's going to turn me in. This guy. But I think that's the insecurity, too, of all sort of 18-year-olds not knowing, obviously there are those people who are valedictorian, deservedly be there or whatever. But I get that. Did you learn... did you come from a very disciplined background? Because that had to be a big shift.
Not especially, but I was always a very disciplined person. So I don't know where specifically I got that, but I would shine my shoes when I was in grade school,
Yeah.
because I saw my dad and my grandfather do it maybe once, and I thought, okay, I'm going to do that too. So I wanted to be the best little man in the world, and I was shining shoes.
So what was the experience like? And then what happened after that?
So the Naval Academy experience is very tough. It's a lot about time management. They teach you leadership. It's strong academic school, engineering school. You have military training on the top of your academics, and then you also have sports and athletics, and everybody has to participate in sports and athletics. So it's really about time management. And when you're in your first year, your plebe year, they throw so much at you, just really to a couple of reasons, to kind of shock you into this, you're in a different world now mentality, and you're competing with your classmates, and you're going to be a naval officer one day, or a Marine Corps officer, which is an option for Naval Academy graduates. So I think the discipline of making sure I was getting everything done really kind of worked to my benefit, because that's, I was disciplined before I got there. And it was not easy, believe me, it was not easy, but I didn't fight it. I really kind of relished in the regiment of, the daily grind.
And the camaraderie.
Yeah. Now, I mean, they tell you, you're going to be friends with your classmates for life. And when you're 18, 19, 20, 21, you hear that, and you make friends with the ones that you live close by, but you wonder if that's going to be true. And that has proven to be true. And not only your classmates, but extended alumni. I moved back to Annapolis 5 years ago, and I got reconnected with the Naval Academy and alumni. And I'm telling you, it is the coolest kind of fraternity to be in. Everybody just relishes that experience. So yeah, no, that has proven to be true.
So, so the Army Navy game is not going to be played this year.
So we don't know about that one yet. The season looks iffy too, but they haven't made any decisions other than the first game was supposed to be against Notre Dame in Ireland, and I had tickets to go to Ireland. And so they canceled that one, and it's supposed to be played in Annapolis for the first time. Navy's hosting Notre Dame on Labor Day weekend. And they only are selling 30% of the stadium seats. And I still don't even know if that one's going to happen, because things are just really bad. So I think they were going to make a decision of go, no go at the end of this month, which is in a day or two. So we'll see. But Army Navy, I think the thought is, if anything, to go ahead and play to be some kind of gift to the nation. Because if everyone's seasons are, this football season is scrapped, that would be one that would be, okay, let's figure out a way to do that for the nation. And I like that.
I think Texas OU would say the same thing, but
yeah, I think you're right.
But you can see, like, when I brought up the Army Navy game and Navy football in general, the whole like passion for the season, because I know that's something that you relish.
Oh yes, and I love to have people come and visit. I have season tickets, of course, and I'm within walking distance of the stadium. And it's just fun to share that experience. It's different than any regular college game. From a big time, Ohio State or Oklahoma, Texas, but it's just a totally different game with the cadets and the midshipmen for Army Navy when they're at the game. And I think a lot of people, I went to graduate school at SMU in Dallas. Didn't you go to SMU?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
I went to graduate school there, and when SMU plays Navy here in Annapolis, it's a fun game for me. I get to say hi to some friends, but there are a lot of people that come from Dallas just for the experience of going to a Navy football game, watching the midshipmen march onto the field before the game, and all the tradition that goes into a Navy football game.
So between SMU, Cox School of Business MBA, and Naval Academy, I chose to be a pilot, and that was really behind my mind when I went to the Naval Academy, because in the early 70s, when I was in junior high and high school, being an
line pilot was a pretty good occupation, and it, allowed you to travel. And I was thinking that's what I would want to do one day. And the Naval Academy was a way to do that. So I chose to be a pilot. I was lucky enough to graduate high enough in my class to get my first selection, which is not always the case. But about 4 weeks after I graduated, I went to Pensacola for flight school, and planned to be in Pensacola for all of flight school. But the Navy has a way of altering your plans sometimes. They also have a flight school in Corpus Christi, and they chose my class and said, we need all of you to go to Corpus Christi after just 6 weeks in Pensacola. So I loaded up my Monte Carlo and headed to Corpus Christi, and that's where I finished flight school. And so from there, I started having I had some medical issues, and I was eventually retired from the Navy medically after only 4 years. So unfortunately, I didn't have the Navy career that I might have liked, and I lamented that for a while, and I just used that experience to continue on. I knew that I needed to still do something in my life, and to be somebody, to be proud of myself. And while I didn't have any choice in the medical issues I was having, I didn't let that get me down. I never felt sorry for myself. I just wanted to find some way to be important in some way, and I chose real estate.
Real estate kind of chose you, right?
Yeah, it actually did. The story about how I got into real estate is.
Can I stop you for a second and just say thank you for your service, because I'm proud of you. Seriously, in all sincerity, thank you.
I love hearing that, and I stay involved with the young people today that are starting their careers, and it is so rewarding to see them start and knowing the promise of a great career ahead of them. So thank you. I appreciate that.
You bet. Thank you.
So when I graduated from SMU, I had a degree in math from the Naval Academy, and I had my Cox MBA, and I was being kind of slotted into finance positions when I was applying for jobs. And I was always good in finance. So I went to work for Sprint PCS, which was their mobile arm at the time, and they were launching their digital service. And I was a finance manager for a regional area. I think it was Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma. And one day I was sitting at my desk, and one of the senior executive salesmen came and said, Bill, can we talk to you? And I said, sure. And he said, we'd like to ask you to find and build some retail stores. And my mind almost blew up. I was like, I don't think you're talking to the right person. So when I said, I actually said that, I said, I've never done that before, and I don't know how I would start. And he said to me, he said, Bill, here's what I know about you. You follow processes. You're good at your customer service. You are good at follow-up. And he said, you're going to be better than the guy that's trying to do it now. So with someone who had seen something in me, I felt confident to give it a try. And I just put together a team and put together processes, and that's how I launched into being in commercial real estate. And we did a region, then Sprint gave me more territory, and by the end of 3 years, we were doing it nationwide. And then we grew so big, Sam, that I hired Trammell Crow to come and help manage the build out. And then Trammell Crow hired me. That's how you and I are connected, through Trammell Crow.
That's right. I was working on the sprint account. It's my first corporate account to work on. That's early 2000s.
Yeah, and I think I knew that when I met you in the office, and you were not doing sprint at the time when I did meet you, but I think
Right.
because of your sprint work that we had that connection. But I was always so fascinated with you because you seemed to march by your own drum, and you were so different than most of the other people in that office that I was somewhat fascinated. It's like, what is making him tick? You know, it's like,
Still trying to figure that out. Oh, that's generous. So then you were there 13 years?
yeah, I think 13, 14 years. And
the merger, CBRE, and
yeah, we merged, or CBRE bought Trammell Crow in December of 2006. And what I had learned that I didn't really know when I joined Trammell Crow was they were putting me in a position with corporate accounts, and I didn't realize that every couple of years I would be given another corporate account, and I'd have to kind of start the process over of building a team and putting processes together and getting to know the client and understanding their needs. And I remember when I first realized that, it was my first account was 7-Eleven, and then they were going to ask me to go to work for FedEx Kinko's, and I thought, wait a minute, I just started with the 7-Eleven account, you know? So, but in that world, in that corporate services world, that was not unusual. And the good thing about that was I was then learning about all these companies and their processes and seeing their politics in their company, but meeting people too. And then I would get to put together my team each time. And so I got to know so many people from working with them. And it turned out to be a good career for me.
What is it about, you talk about processes and teams, which I've seen and recognized you're really good at pulling together talent. And what do you look for?
You know, I've been asked this question before, and I really struggle to come up with anything more than I try to hire qualified people, but when I do hire them, I give them the bandwidth to be successful. And I listen when they come to me with ideas or suggestions. I try to listen, and even if it sounds crazy, sometimes I want to make sure I'm giving them the full benefit of my consideration. And I've learned so much doing that. And I think and that's just the way my mind works too. Because the way I got into this business, I didn't know construction. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just jumping in and starting. And some of these people have careers before, they met me, and I wanted to learn from them. So, and I think that the reason I was successful with the teams was that I really did care about their success. I mean, their success was my success. So I supported them. And I really think that's a big difference when it comes to, people working with teams. You have to listen and really support them and let them be successful. And some of my clients have told me, Sam, that I take up for my teams too much. And my response is always, that's my job. That is my job. And you can be mad at me, but it's my job. If they didn't do anything wrong and, and they're coming up short in some way in your eyes, I will fix that. But, be mad at me. I'm going to take up for them.
You take ownership.
Yeah, I think that's what a leader does.
So what have you enjoyed most about not knowing anything about the commercial construction world and now having a 20+ year tenure in this environment with many different hats, right? From
it's
development to, construction.
it's interesting because I told you earlier about how when I went to the Naval Academy, I kept thinking they would tap me on the shoulder and say, hey, we made a mistake. I've always had this kind of imposter syndrome where I don't believe what you tell me about me. I am not as assured of what I'm doing as you think I might be. Every day I work hard to do my best, but I'm not going to tell you I'm the smartest person in the room. I mean, I only say that in front of my family.
Or implied. Read this book.
Yes.
That should answer something for you, sibling. So who are some of your big influences throughout your career?
I've always tried to see people that know how to handle tough situations and see if I can mimic their way of handling things. In business, there were always some people that when faced with, and even in the military, when faced with tough decisions, it never seemed to ruffle their feathers, but they just kept moving forward in a way that would lead to the desired result. And today when I contemplate tough situations, sometimes I roll in my head, what would so-and-so do? And I try and picture that calmness that I saw those people bring to a situation and methodically work through it instead of lighting your hair on fire. I mean, I've tried that and I didn't do too well.
Hey, it works. Oh, thanks for sharing, Bill. You wear a hat well. If you see a guy in a cool fedora walking down Fifth Avenue, it's Bill Hebert.
Yes.
He is the dude with the coolest hats. I see you grappling with who to identify, who do I pull out of my, years of experience with all these people, because so many people. Who would that be that would be the great influence? And based on your conversation about teams, I would imagine you have all those influences, right? It would be hard to pick it in your experience and your work history, certain individuals out.
Even the military people that I know and I've worked with that have done great things for our country and the military. I've worked with people that were at the top of CBRE and Trammell Crow. Not all of those people are people that I benefit from knowing in the way that helps me in my leadership. Sometimes it's the people at the low end of the spectrum that I learn the most from. And they may enlighten me in some way that makes me then appreciate something in a different way. So I don't want to name names just because I don't, but again, it's from both ends of the spectrum and in between that I really have people in my life that have taught me so much. So
yeah, when you're in the trenches or the foxhole, people on the ground and right next to you, those are the ones who you learn a lot from, because you spend days with these people, right? And you're sometimes fighting an uphill battle.
Oh, there were times in the Navy, even though I had a short career, and we were in peacetime, that got pretty hairy, and people died from training exercises. And when those things happened, you saw how everyone pulled together, and it was just an amazing camaraderie. So thankfully in my work, I've not had any terrible situations, but I learned from a lot of failures too, Sam. I remember when I was a young Lieutenant JG, I was on a ship standing watch, and a sailor comes up to me on a Saturday night, and he asked me if I could give him liberty the next day. He was supposed to have duty on Sunday. And I asked why, and he told me this long story about this girl he had met, and and he had to go and be with her that next day. And I was like, what do I do? I'm a young Lieutenant JG, and so I said, hey, the ship's pulling out of port on Monday morning at 8 o'clock. If I do this, you have to be back on board at 6. And if I give you this special liberty. And sure enough, this young man didn't let me down. And
Richard Gere let you down?
and the captain was waiting on this young man to pull the ropes over the side of the ship to leave port to be with the rest of the ships that were taken off. And he kept radioing me on my radio, where's this young man, how long we're going to wait. And I said, Captain, I just heard from him, he's going to be here any minute. So end of the story is we ended up leaving 15 minutes late. The captain was upset with me, but what happened next was such a lesson for me. I had gone to bat for this young man, and the whole ship saw what was happening. And I kept thinking after he got back on board, what is the punishment going to be? The captain's probably going to punish him. How am I going to handle this? And before I could think of the proper way to discipline or handle this situation, I saw the entire ship of sailors kind of start putting a disciplinary pressure on this guy themselves, because they knew that I had gone out on the limb for him and that he had disappointed not only me, but the whole ship. So it was really kind of a lesson of the power of leadership. And it was a start kind of, I don't know, just the first time I realized, what I had done, and that I felt like I was doing the right thing with regard to the other sailors, because they were all taken up for me and instilling the discipline on this young man themselves. So I remember that.
When he walked back off the plank.
Yeah.
You guys, he learned his lesson. So fast forward to something you do honorably. Is mentor plebes, right?
So it's midshipmen. I start when they're plebes.
I'll edit that out.
Yeah. So the Naval Academy has what is called a sponsor program. And when I was at the Naval Academy, I had 2 sponsors, one for 2 years, and then they were transferred to another duty station, and I got another sponsor. But I knew when I moved here in 2015 that I wanted to become a sponsor, because I thought I wanted to be a part of the organization again. I wanted to be involved. And so I put my name in the hat to be a sponsor, and I've had 4 midshipmen I've sponsored. I'm actually picking up a new plebe for the class of 24 that he's in plebe summer right now and can't even talk to his parents, really. So I haven't said a lot to him. I met him last summer when he was here for a candidate visit. But what it is, a sponsor, really, the main thing that a sponsor does is they provide a home away from home for these midshipmen, for them to come on the weekends and relax at your home, do laundry, study, whatever they want to do, take a nap, eat your food, drink your beer, that kind of thing. And so from these kids I've sponsored, they become part of your life. And I'm single, I don't have kids, and I've always wished I had kids. So this lets me be in that kind of role where I'm kind of a parent. I'm not really, I'm a mentor, a friend, an uncle, whatever you want to call it. It's really been gratifying for me.
What do you think, what is it like to see them go through the next 4 years after that first year that you've helped nurture?
Well, first of all, I'm always excited for them, even though I know how tough it will be, especially that first year. But I get to talk through the experience with them and give them a different perspective on why certain things are done the way they're done. And this is, I didn't know this stuff when I was going through it. I wish I'd have had more perspective because I didn't like all the things that were being done, to us as we were going through the process. But I usually, try and get them to talk to me about what's happening. And then I will share a story about something similar that I went through. And it always is so cool for me to hear them come back a few days later and tell me how they used the story I provided to help them in some way. It happens so often, Sam, but each time it just is like, wow, they were listening. and they prevented the mistake I made, or they got through it, or they helped someone else get through it easier.
Nice. That's got to be gratifying.
Oh, so gratifying.
So, relationships, you're helping build those with, from the onset of their college experience. And then, you've kept in touch with a lot of your friends, including me, that I proudly count as part of that bunch.
One thing that I'm doing, Sam, that you don't know about, but since coronavirus crisis happened, many of people that I've worked with over the years have contacted me to let me know that they are out of work. And since I've always kind of felt like I wanted to help people in that situation, and I had so many people coming to me, and I still do. So I thought, how am I going to help these people? What do I do? So I set up this weekly meeting that we get together every Thursday afternoon. It's a Zoom meeting. I've put together some tasks that everybody who wants to join the meeting has to kind of complete these tasks weekly. And they're not it's not a long list, but it's just something to keep us accountable on helping them get to where they want to be. And part of the list, though, the first part of the list is job searching specific things. But then part of it is taking care of yourself, and exercising and forgiving yourself for not being perfect about something else. But we go through that list every week, and we end up kind of celebrating every week, every Thursday. And I've really appreciated, spending time with these people. We started with about 5, went up to 8. 3 people have already found a job, but we're going to continue until I graduate all these guys to get their new position. And we're having fun while we're doing it, and we're sharing and we're helping each other.
So cool. That is so amazing. What was the impetus for that?
I felt like I sat down and I thought, what would I need? And I know I would need something to hold me responsible, accountable for doing because sometimes it can get, and when you're in that position, it can get tough, and you feel like you're not making any headway. And so I thought, what do I do? And I know that all of us have worked with me before. And so I know that we always enjoyed our conference calls. We didn't have Zoom back then, but now we get to see each other's living rooms and, and so I thought, let me replicate that in some way and put some structure to it. And I've invited someone from LinkedIn to our meeting one week to go over their resumes and teach us about how to best use LinkedIn. We've had a couple of guest speakers, but mostly it's just us reporting on what we've done that week, or encouraging the others. And every once in a while somebody has a bad week, and we're like, okay, the rule is you have 24 hours to feel bad about something, and then after that you got to start anew. After 24 hours, I don't want you to still feel bad about that. You got to move on.
Right. So
But
routine. You're big into routine and
well, that's just the way I live. So I
right.
figure it's
So
best
you
for
have that
everybody.
to share. Yeah. I mean, that's vital. I had my cousin Dr. Bo Nelson on, and we were talking about that very thing, how important routine is, just in light of, it's easy to sleep in a little bit longer when you're working from home, and it's easier to put off working out and exercise, and then days start blending together, and then what's next, this uncertainty. And so you've created this mastermind sort of heart routine method called the Bill Hebert method. What that is so cool, man. Seriously, that is. Can other people join this?
Yes, if they
I'm gonna
want to
throw
just
this out there. You're gonna get
oh, I don't mind. We may, if it gets
trained.
too big, we set up a different day or time. But it's really I get things in return when I do things like that, Sam. It's so
100%.
rewarding for me when someone was part of our group and they land a cool job, or I connect them with other people, and then all of a sudden things happen. So yeah, I welcome it. If someone wants to join, we'll add them.
How would I introduce them to you?
Just connect me via text.
Okay. All right. I will also post up your link on LinkedIn when this goes out to the world, if that's okay.
You said routine. Even during coronavirus, I think it's important to be in a routine. I get up at 4 a.m. I write for an hour. I write down what I did the day before every day. I've done that since I was 18 years old. I have a couple of cups of coffee, and then I start my workout. And by the time everybody else is getting up, my day's been 4 hours long already, and I've accomplished so much. But I feel like if I do that morning routine, then I now have my armor on to take on the day. I don't know what the day is going to bring me, but I'm going to bring my best self to the day. And I do this every day, weekends, every day. Sometimes I sleep till 5 on the weekends.
Oh, no. He's late sleeping in. So what happens? So this is interesting. So you get up at 4. You've done this since you were 18. Did that start in
It
college?
started at the Naval Academy.
Okay. Because you get up at 4.
Yeah, because I didn't want to be late. I also sometimes I'd go run 5 miles before everybody else got up because I just wanted to be, I don't know, ready, in some way. Have my coffee. I like my quiet morning times. I like watching the sun come up. But I write in this log, and I just write down what I did the day before, and it's enriching to go back and read some of the things and I wrote when I was younger, and it tells me about where I was in my mind, about what I thought of the world, what I thought about me, or what was happening in the family. It's just amazing because I don't have the memory to remember all of that, and sometimes I'll go back and read and I still don't remember, but I have enough information to give me clues, and I can reach out to someone and go, I mentioned this in my log. What does that mean? And they help fill me in. But for the most part, when I reread it, I remember exactly what was going on.
So then so it's a journal about the day before. Interesting. So tomorrow I will be.
You will be in it.
My future
you
self.
You were in it yesterday too.
That's fantastic. And then what about your workout? What's your workout routine now? Is it going around 5 miles?
No, it's changed over the years. I used to be a runner when I was younger. And then when I was 40, I think I had back surgery around the age of 40. And I switched to swimming when I was that age. And 2 years ago, I had to stop swimming because I have some shoulder issues that I need to get worked on. Both shoulders, I have bicep tendon tears. It's not fun. No. But they're not doing elective surgeries right now, so I can't really attend to them. But I'm telling you, I found something to do. You know what I'm doing? The gyms are all closed here. Our pool's closed. I go up and down the staircase.
Nice. Low
I stay.
impact, tough. Yeah.
Oh my gosh! And right now they're not air conditioned, and so I got these little cedar blocks, and I open a few doors on a few of the floors. It's only 7 stories, but to get some circulation in there. But I'm telling you, I am worn out when I do it for in the staircase is 4.5 miles.
Wow.
And then I walk 2 miles, but
Outside.
in the hallways. Yeah, I could go out, but I just sometimes I'll take a break from the stairs and just walk up the hallway just to cool off, and then I go back into the stairs.
You see, it's adapting, right? You've always had such a positive attitude and just a light, I could just say a demeanor that people can see now, just your smile and your light. But I also know that, like you said, some days are hard. Some days are just those, give yourself 24 hours to feel sorry for yourself. That's pretty interesting. And then you go.
That's just my little rule. And I try to live by that, because there were times that I went through a dark period when I was in my 20s, and I had just gotten a medical retirement from the Navy, and I was depression. I suffered from depression, and I went to the VA hospital, and I'm still being treated in the VA hospital system, but I'm not suffering from depression anymore. It's just a maintenance thing, like twice a year. But as a young kid, that was tough on me, because no one talked about those kinds of illnesses back then, and I was going to graduate school. I was trying to start my career. There was so much going on, and yet some days I didn't want to see the end of I didn't want to make it to the end of the day. I just wanted to give up.
Yeah.
But again, I never felt sorry for myself. I always felt like I needed to achieve something, and so that I've had the greatest doctors. I know a lot of people that have been in the VA system haven't had the same experience I've had. I was lucky enough to be able to tell them what I thought I needed, and to be able to help them help me. I don't know where I got that wherewithal, but not everybody can do that or has the wherewithal to do that. And I feel bad for them. I want to help everybody, but I can't. But I've even talked to politicians, senators, and stuff about my experience, because I don't know if you know, there was a Senator James Webb from Virginia. He ran for president, I think, once, and he was the Secretary of the Navy at one point. And I got a chance to talk to him because he was putting forth an effort to improve the VA system. And he was glad to hear my story. And it's like, how do we get people the information you had on your own? And we put an advisor with them in some way to help them get through the medical situations they were in. So it was good. I was glad to be able to share my experience. But yes, getting back to the point, I've had some dark days. I feel like what I learned going through those days has helped me today to help other people.
Mm-hmm. For sure, the lights come through the hole.
Yeah.
What Rumi says, the light comes through the wound.
Yeah.
So, what's next? I think it's a bright. Well, that's
actually
that's kind of a loaded
pursuing
question, because you've got so many things going on right now.
Well, actually, I'm pursuing some work at my alma mater, the Naval Academy, right now. I met with the superintendent 3 years ago, and I just wanted to get involved in a deeper way than just being a mentor. I'm a volunteer coach for the gymnastics team, and I'm on the board of the Council for Annual Giving at the Alumni Association, but I wanted to be more involved. I feel like I have a lot to give. So I met with the superintendent 3 years ago, and I treated it like a job interview, even though it was just kind of telling him I want to get involved. And I put together this word cloud of words I felt described me, because I didn't know how to approach this meeting that I had asked him for. And he looked at the word cloud, and he says, I agree with these, but he says, let me add some words. And then he mentioned ways I could help. And I felt like that was kind of a good way for me to go to someone and go, I want to help. Here's what I think I look like on word clouds, and then let them help me. And so he pointed me in a few different directions, and I'm going to try and get involved in those areas.
We'll talk about how connected you are and how you connect people. Here's what, here's one that'll flip y'all's noodle. I started Workspace construction company about 1.5 years ago. And sort of, as everybody knows who's done their own startup, there's a lot of growth pains. Somewhere in the beginning, I was having an issue, or just a logistics issue, something like that, that I was confiding in another friend of mine, Craig Gore, who was on the show recently, about it. We were just, shooting the shit and having a conversation and in passing, and he caught what I was talking about. And next thing I know, Bill Hebert calls and says, my buddy Craig, our mutual friend, which we had no idea we had in common at all, mentioned you could use some help in this area. And he goes, and I know nothing about construction, but I figured he would be able to help. And so Bill and I reconnected in this weird circle of 400 million people almost in the US. And then, so that you meant something even extra special to me during that growth period. But since then, getting together with you and sharing your time today has been invaluable to me, my friend. So I won't take up more of your time, because I know it's precious, and it has been a precious time spending with you today. So I wish you the best, and we'll talk soon. Keep in touch.
I was just talking to my friend. That's what I enjoyed about it today. Nice to see you, Sam.
All right, brother. Talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.